Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday. It's the 12th of January, 2021. Well, we've got a lot to talk about, folks, although at least here today, it's going to be another quiet day across the region. There's a lot going on as we take a look at not only the next 2 to 3 days, but these changes we've been talking about for the last week or so are certainly starting to unfold. And what we're about ready to have with this regional high wind event is a sign. It's sort of a symptom of what is happening across the northern hemisphere and what's to come later on. The atmosphere kind of going through some fits right now as we're seeing the changes up in the higher latitudes. We're going to have a regional high wind event. No, this is not only a Wyoming high wind event. Everyone's going to share in the misery. We'll have mild Pacific air through the region all the way through tomorrow. Temperatures will be above average. But we're going to have a high wind event hit the entire high plains and Rocky Mountain West, Central and Northern Rockies, the Central and Northern Plains, even the Pacific Northwest states through Friday. This is a prolonged wind event, really from late today through Friday. The winds are just going to howl, stronger in some other areas than others, but no one's really going to miss the wind. Also, in addition to the high wind event, there's going to be a cold front coming through, complicating travel because there's going to be a brief episode of snow showers and falling temperatures Wednesday night into Thursday morning, just enough snow to make roads and highways icy. The high country will get a quick shot of snow in the mountains of Montana and Wyoming with that front Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and another front's coming in behind it through the weekend that'll keep the snow going in the mountains. Hemispheric pattern is underway, leading to more active weather down the road. So the things that we've been talking about are beginning to happen. And this wind event is a signal of those changes. Now, this is where we are today, a very innocuous weather map. We have high pressure out here in the eastern Pacific. We have this milder air coming in from the Pacific Northwest. So really another nice day across the region for this time of year. But this little ripple right here, where you see the lines packed close together, is a very energetic jet stream and also an upper level low aloft coming on in. Now, you'll see what will happen in just a short period of time. It buckles, the jet stream buckles, and we have this is overnight Wednesday. This is around 11 p.m. Wednesday Mountain Time. We have that same wave right here that was all the way here come all the way here very, very quickly. And then you have these very strong jet stream winds lined up. You have mild, warmer Pacific air here, and you have much colder Canadian air up here. You have a big temperature contrast, and in that temperature contrast is where you're going to get those very strong jet stream winds. And look at the packing of the lines here. The jet stream winds remain really, really strong all up across the northern tier of the globe. Now, as the system comes in, this northwest flow will also drag in Pacific moisture, bringing snow showers to the plains, snow to the mountains. But this is a situation where you're just going to get a lot of wind along and east of the divide. West of the divide, it's going to get windy as well, but it's east of the mountains where the wind will be at its worst. And here you can see the jet stream diving in. This is for Wednesday morning. The core of the strongest jet stream winds are right up here across Montana and British Columbia coming in. I mean, these are jet stream winds 170 miles an hour or more through this stretch. Now, when you get a high wind event, it's not necessarily having these winds on top of you, but being just downwind of them. Because what happens is you transport a lot of this upper level wind energy down to the ground east of the divide, because this will cause what's called a mountain wave, where the winds go like this. And you see where the winds will make a dip towards the ground? Well, this is where the momentum in these waves is directed towards the ground, because these jet stream winds got to go over the continental divide. So it's like snapping your garden hose, where you'll get a wave that'll travel through your garden hose. Well, the same thing happens here. So the transport of all this upper level wind energy gets thrown down into this area here and even back up into these areas here, and you'll see it. Now, these are our wind gust potentials through Friday afternoon. Couple of highlights here. See these winds right here along the Rocky Mountain National Park, Continental Divide areas of the mountains of northern Colorado. Those are winds that are 90, 100 miles an hour in gusts. Arlington, Elk Mountain, a similar situation. Look at this up by the Black Hills, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Also, look at the winds up into the gaps of Montana, even up into northwestern Wyoming, Cody. Look at these winds in the Bighorn Basin. Now, usually the Bighorn Basin doesn't see winds like this. Now, if you get west of the divide here, if we throw in roughly the Continental Divide, you see that the winds are not as strong, but you're still going to have strong winds along the Wasatch, still very strong winds near the higher terrain of western and southwestern Colorado. If you were to take a bigger look at this, if we were to go back and look at the lower 48 states, this is the same map through Friday afternoon. Look at the swath of wind. See all this orange and yellow? That is impressive, folks. So if you want to get away from the wind, well, go down here if you want to get away from it, but that's as far, you're going to have to go that far to really get away from it. The worst of the winds will certainly be in these brighter colored areas here, and especially late Wednesday, Wednesday night, and Thursday. But the winds are going to get going even today in the wind-prone areas of Wyoming along I-25 and Interstate 80. So this is not just a local event, a regional wind event. We talked about getting snow in the mountains. This is through Sunday. The northerly and northwest flow coming in behind that strong jet stream wind will produce snow in the mountains of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, and the northern mountains of Colorado. And there's probably more of this coming early next week as the flow aloft stays from the northwest. By Friday morning, what ends up happening is that little wave that didn't look like much right here turns into a big northern plains storm. We're going to see a major winter storm, their biggest one probably of the season, up in this area here with a lot of cold and a lot of wind. Then big lake effect snows are going to be happening this weekend. So maybe these football playoff games in this part of the country here could have a lot of winter weather with them this weekend. That'll be interesting to watch. And then as you can see, we have a northerly flow coming into Wyoming, Montana, and Colorado on the backside of this low for Friday. And notice the packing of the lines. So we have a very strong jet stream wind from the due north. So the wind event is going to last through Friday. It's going to be a 3-day, 3.5-day event. Now, as we get into Saturday afternoon, another wave comes in. This is going to produce snow in the mountains Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. Another wave right here is going to come up, down, and on the backside of this system, producing more snow in the mountains Sunday night into Monday. These little waves coming in on the backside of the system is a great way to make it snow in the central and northern Rockies. The mountains, a little bit of snow shower activity on the plains, but certainly the mountains. Then 10 days out, we continue to see the amplification of a ridge in the Gulf of Alaska coming into Alaska, and then we can see this big bowl of very cold air that's now coming into this side of the hemisphere. This is by next Thursday night and Friday, 10 days from now. Really cold air here, and you can see it. These are temperatures relative to average by Saturday the 23rd. And you can see these are going to be 20 to 40 below zero temperatures, especially up in these areas right here. Now, the big question will be, how far south will this bitter cold be? Will it stay along the border? It could. Will it come as far south as the model is showing and even further south? It certainly could. And if you take a look at the next 15 days, again, this is just for illustration purposes only because this is a computer model. But if you were to look at some of the modeling out to 15 days, this is the predicted snowfall for North America over the next 2 weeks. And you can see that all of a sudden, this part of the country here that really has not had any snow this winter of any consequence, where they're about ready to do a 180, completely reverse that. Snow in New England, snow in the Great Lakes, and snow gets pretty far south here as well into the southern Appalachians and down even into the Sierras of California. Then look at all the snow up here in eastern Canada, up into Alaska, everywhere here. So basically, winter is going to really come in with vengeance during the last 10 days of January, likely into early February. Supporting that are the oscillations. The Arctic Oscillation remains in negative territory. This is where we are today, but look where it ends up by January 27th. The Arctic Oscillation just stays really, really negative. That supports the cold air coming. Also supporting the northern Atlantic Oscillation trends of keeping very cold air into the western side of North American continent that is supporting. So when we have a negative North Atlantic oscillation, a negative Arctic oscillation, and what we're seeing here with these big jet stream changes that are taking place right now, that adds up to a lot of winter for the lower 48 states. But the devil is going to be in the details. But we've got some days to figure it out and sort it out. In the meantime, batten down the hatches and be ready for the wind. We'll see you tomorrow.